What is up, everybody? This is hashtag follow the conversation episode 32. My name is Michael Nip, and I'm here as always with my co-host, Drewby.
It's been too long, my brother.
It's been like 2 weeks, I think. Yeah, it was a long time.
Long.
Once again, and by once again, we suck at intros. This is for theculturemypeople.com, the website about all things related to our lives and the kind of things that we like to do.
Our culture.
Music, video games, the culture of nerds. Dumb.
Yeah. What? Like, the name of the podcast kind of explains it all. It's just...
It's the most descriptive thing we could come up with because it perfectly, accurately describes our life as hashtag follow the conversation.
The story of my life, bro. Like, it's my motto. Like, when I die, then put that
you
on
got hashtag put on your grave.
Yeah, hashtag follow the conversation. Underneath, here lies Drewby. He followed the conversation.
So we skipped last week, but we actually have a decent reason this time because we've some crazy things have been happening, at least in my life. And basically last week my father was in town. He travels a lot for work, and so it was his last day in town. I wanted to spend some time with him. In other news, do you know that we haven't talked about my big news on the podcast on air?
We have not. Would you like to share with our audience the big news relevant to your life?
We are expecting a child around December 3rd.
Michael and his wife Amanda.
Me and Drewby are expecting a child around December 3rd.
No, that is not the case. We being Michael and his wife Amanda. Yes, them, not me and Mike.
Yeah, it's not that kind of show. It's a different kind of show. But yeah, so we found out we were. I don't want to get too deep into this. It's a little weird, but we have been trying to have a child for a while, and Amanda wasn't getting pregnant. It wasn't super long. It wasn't anything to be super worried about, but we were a little bit concerned. We go to the doctor for a fertility consultation to kind of figure out maybe what we could be doing to see if we could get pregnant. And then they're like, "Oh, while you're here, why don't you just take a pregnancy test?" And she's like, "Well, you're pregnant." And so that was exciting news. So yeah. I imagine that will eventually affect the podcast schedule very heavily and kind of change the course of this website. But until then, I kind of expect everything to be semi-normal.
Okay. Yeah. Obviously, there have already been some early changes, as you know, the morning sickness and other things start to set in, changes of your life already. But the major change will obviously be when this little one comes along and baby Nacho is born into this world.
We're using the name Nacho to refer to the baby since we know we don't know whether it is a male or female at this point. So we are just going to refer to it as the gender-neutral Nacho. Though I did tell Amanda that if it was a girl, we would have to switch the name to Churro because I think that's more feminine.
Okay.
So it's either Nacho or Churro, but we're going with Nacho for now. I'm hoping it's a boy, namely because my wife and I can't come up with a girl name. So there's hoping.
What's going to happen? Do we need to do a poll on our website of, this is what the girl's name needs to be. Can the culture my people choose? Yeah.
If you can come up with a rad name for a girl, we are open to suggestions. Email us at theculturemypeople@gmail.com. Say that you got a sweet name for a girl child, and we'll take it into consideration. I just realized that we didn't post a live link to this show on Facebook.
I am doing that right now.
Okay, sweet. You take care of that. I'll share it later. I usually do that ahead of time, but it's been a week. I forgot. Let's start off with the typical topics. We usually start off with what Drewby's been watching on TV. He's a fan of the television. There was Flash this week, or was there not a Flash this week?
Last week there was no episode of Flash or Arrow.
Okay.
But you and I usually record on Tuesdays, and that's when Flash airs. There will be an episode tonight, and there was an episode on the night we probably were last recorded. I'm still a fan of what they are doing with that show. You and I talked a little bit last week about kind of time travel, and we delved dove into
Dove?
it, into it a little bit more, talking about like time travel and some of the problems it can have in stories. So we talked about that a little bit, but you know what? I recognize that there could be some problems with time travel, but I still think it's cool. And Flash is using it, and that's all I will say. Yeah, Flash is going good. Arrow, it got better. However, Flash is still better than Arrow. We can that might as well be the motto for this season of CW television. Flash is better than Arrow.
Is there a show called Agents of Shield that's currently running?
Yes, Agents of Shield is also running, and that is good. They're in the middle of explaining the kind of diving into my problem with the word.
It's a rough word.
Delve this morning. Dive. They are diving into.
12 is not a word, but dive is the one. Yeah, dive is the one you're looking for.
They are diving into the Inhuman storyline. So, kind of a little very brief history. Marvel obviously owns everything, but Disney is running most of the Marvel, and the Marvel Cinematic Universe that you are aware of, Captain America, Iron Man, is all run by Disney. X-Men is owned by Fox. And so Marvel in the Disney Cinematic Universe cannot use basically the word mutant or mutants to some extent. However, they are getting away with that in Avengers, the next Avengers film that comes out very soon, a couple weeks. They are using Scarlet Witch and the Quicksilver, who are mutant characters from X-Men. But what they are going to do, and to get around this, is yes, these were in the comics or whatever, but no, these are Inhumans in our story, which is a completely another storyline. And Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is talking about Inhumans and diving into that storyline and kind of introducing. Michael, you are not following the show. It's going to be kind of interesting to see, for both of us to watch Avengers 2 and for you to come out and your perspective on the movie and what they're doing versus mine, having been following Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is kind of leading up in a way to Avengers 2. Yeah.
I mean, were people really affected? From what my perspective was from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. around the time of Captain America, it was more like Captain America was dictating what was happening in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. more than Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was actually affecting anything from Captain America. So it may not actually matter, but it may matter. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see
on that when the time comes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the difference is going to, maybe the movie is actually dictating what's actually going on there. However, it's not necessarily how much dictating, but there's some story buildup, if you will. So anyway, Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., probably between that and Flash, probably one of my favorite TV shows running right now. I will talk a little bit about another TV show that's come up. How much I don't remember how much. It's been 2 weeks since we last recorded. How much have we talked about Twin Peaks?
We talked about Twin Peaks quite a bit. I don't know if you've really watched any since last time we talked.
Not a whole lot. Not a whole lot, but
you should go back to the other conversation you were going to have.
Okay. All right, and then I'll come back to Twin Peaks. Netflix has released a new series, a TV series. It's called
Daredevil. Dang it! I was gonna make a joke. Keep going.
No, I'm gonna steal the thunder from you on that one.
Orange is the New Black. I was gonna say it's called Orange is the New Black, but I can't ever remember anything when I want to make jokes anymore. Oh, that's also a 2-year-old joke. Keep going.
So Daredevil is I think it's like 12 episodes or 14 episodes, and I watched the first 2 episodes of it yesterday. I think that is a really good show. From what I can tell, they are telling the story in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Disney's Marvel Cinematic Universe. They have made references about, New York gets left in ruins, and this is what we have to deal with. Now, I was like, this could be talking about the events of Avengers 1, or this could be talking about 9/11. I'm assuming that they are talking about the events that happened in Avengers. But the story is the story. If you're not familiar with Daredevil, is he is a blind man. He was when he was a child. He was blinded. With some toxic chemicals, and his other senses have been heightened to the point that he basically, with the combination of all his other senses, is aware of what's going on around him, and he becomes a vigilante and fights crime by jumping off rooftops and beating up bad guys while being completely blind. When we were kind of having our kick off on comics this past summer, your brother Marcus was reading Daredevil comics. I read one or two of them, a couple of what he had or whatever. The concept, I think that concept is cool, and what they're doing there. The TV show relays that well. Now, I think it relays that well enough. There's not too much on as far as the graphic. The special effects department isn't super crazy. I don't think it necessarily has to be, and I think it's working all right. The tone is very dark. Like, this is the place where Daredevil is fighting is a place in New York called Hell's Kitchen, and he is going around and beating up criminals. There's like human trafficking that's going on, like murder, it's a bad place to be. And Daredevil is a lawyer by day and a vigilante by night, and he's trying to help out these people. The first episode gets a little bit, I won't say graphic. There's a little bit of a sexual content to it. Not a lot. It's not. But like, if you just skip that episode, or if you have questions about it, go to IMDb and you could read the descriptions for yourself. But the second episode and on, as from what I've read and heard, is completely fine. But yeah, that Daredevil seems like the story and what they're trying to do is a cool. It's cool what they're trying to do, and I think they're pulling it off so far. I've only watched the first 2 episodes, so I mean, the tone could change, but right now my impressions of it are pretty good.
Cool.
I talked to you about this a little bit yesterday and today. You plan on getting to this eventually at some point.
Yeah. It seems like I like superhero stuff, but I just have to balance all of my different hobbies, and TV is less high on the scale than video games when it comes to my free time. So usually if I have the choice, I'll play a game over watching a TV show. So I'll probably get to it eventually. The nice thing is that it's on Netflix. It'll eventually be available. So I don't have to worry about it disappearing, probably, since it's a Netflix original.
Right. And we talked a little bit about that today, where like it's Netflix. Netflix owns this, and they've released the whole season. So we shouldn't have to worry about, oh no, they lost a license to it. No, we don't have to worry about that. Netflix owns the thing. So yeah. So if you want to, and if you think can, check it out. I think it's good. Last TV show I'll talk about, and I mentioned it briefly before, Twin Peaks. We talked about it on our last show. I am in season 2 now. That show is still weird. The only episode I've watched of season 2 was the opening, the first episode of season 2, and like it ends on like, it's creepy and weird and funny, but the end specifically is just kind of creepy, and you just like come out of it and just like, ugh. So but yeah, that show is still going. I haven't watched much of it though in the past week, so perhaps I'll get back and watch to that. That's the last TV show. I mean, I've watched other TV shows, like I've been watching a lot of Star Trek recently and stuff, but we don't need to go into that.
Cool. That's the TV stuff that I had written down. I have some different video game topics we can talk about.
Yeah.
I wrote 4 of them down. First, have you seen anything for the new Rock Band game?
I have not seen anything for the new Rock Band except that it's like, hey, we're making a Rock Band, guys, Rock Band 4. I don't know anything about the controller design or if they're redesigning it. I know that they are going to make new instruments. What I am more familiar with is the new controller for Guitar Hero, which I saw a picture of
That's
today.
I said Rock Band. I meant Guitar Hero. Have you seen
Oh,
anything for the new Guitar Hero?
I've seen. I saw the picture of the controller. There was a tweet out by one Vinny Caravella who works for our sister site giantbomb.com, and he said that he liked the design. And so I was like, I really didn't know what he was talking about. I hadn't seen a picture. I've seen a picture of it now, and I I think I like it. Like it looks kind of cool, and it looks like it's changing things up to the point where it's like I could get behind this. Um, I hope that Rock Band is doing this too in Rock Band 4.
So the main difference in the guitar controller is that instead of the typical 5-button structure where all the buttons are in one straight line, there are 2 sets of 3 buttons that are parallel to each other. So there's a total of 6 buttons, 3 on the top half of the fretboard and 3 on the bottom half of the fretboard. I think they're labeled black and white, and they're shown differently visually, so you can kind of switch between them. It a little bit closer emulates kind of real guitar playing because you're playing different strings. I'm guessing is how they're going to play it off. I thought that looked interesting, and then also I saw a video of people playing a Fallout Boy song in this game. It is straight up full motion video. Gone are the days, at least for the trailer, gone are the days of these cartoon people dancing up on stage. This is real life people jumping up and down here. For the video people, Drewby's showing a picture. Here we go of the controller. You can see that the bottom side is white and the top side is black, and you got the 3 buttons there.
This is courtesy of IGN, by the way.
That I think that's the photo that they got sent out. Yeah, sorry for everybody that has to listen to my sniffling stuff. I have a allergy problem. Yeah, so it's full motion video. So the song starts off, and here's another picture for the people that are on the video. There's straight up regular people dancing around in the background, playing guitar and doing this thing. You can see that there are white and black different notes that you're supposed to be playing on the different positions. Yeah. So I think that looks cool. They're playing the Fallout Boy song "Light 'Em Up." I'm pretty sure is what they're playing.
Okay.
Which is a popular one among the kids these days. Do you remember what the game was called? It's called Guitar Hero
Live. I remember seeing it earlier, but yeah, that's what's on this IGN post. But yeah, Guitar Hero Live is what it is. Did they announce the game today, or did we know that a new Guitar Hero was coming? I don't think I heard anything about a new Guitar Hero.
I mean, it was rumored forever. I think they announced it recently, like within the last couple weeks, maybe since we recorded. I don't know. I'm kind of interested to see what happens because I'm generally more of a Rock Band person myself, and I kind of want to see how they're competing with each other. I've had a lot of fun with Rock Band. Guitar Hero is good. Guitar Hero was kind of first, but I mostly I thought Rock Band had done it better. But we'll see what they do. I don't think they're going to change the controller at all. I think they're intentionally going for that classic feel.
Okay. It looks cool. And I am interested to try it. It's going to be a change from the real guitar, but like I talked about before, I'm playing Rocksmith 2014 a little bit, and that's a change as well. So maybe I'll adapt to the new genre, the new era of plastic instrument based games.
Cool. Also, there's a thing that happened in these last 2 weeks since we've recorded, and you have kind of slowly started realizing a thing about Destiny that I want you to bring up on air, on tape, as it were.
All right. So Michael, you've kind of stopped playing Destiny, various reasons. I've been playing it. I was playing it a lot more. I continue playing it past you. And I'm slowly tapering off to basically I just get like kind of once a week, maybe twice a week, but I only play with friends really anymore. I don't play by myself. And I'm getting bored and kind of tired of it, of the game. Like, and maybe if like I still think that game is is fun to an extent. Like, if I had time or whatever, and I felt like it was like, I'll hop in Crucible for a little bit and run around the multiplayer. Like, I thought I was pretty okay at Crucible and the multiplayer. I've been playing a lot more Vanguard, which is the PvE, player versus everyone mode of the game, where you just kind of run on little quests or strikes.
It's player versus environment.
Oh, is it environment? Aha.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So, but I'm talking with Michael a little bit and stuff. I'm really getting. It's really upsetting, kind of the lack of content that Destiny has, where we do the same thing over and over and over and over again. And for a while that was okay. It was maybe because I need more gear or whatever. But as I've leveled up, I'm still not max level, but I've got a fair amount of decent gear, and I've kind of moved on to other games and stuff. I really, really wish that Bungie would kind of get their game together, their act together, and put some more content in that game, specifically in the form of like raids or not necessarily multiplayer maps. Like I think that's okay. Like, it'd be nice to have more multiplayer maps, but to get some more awesome PvE content into that game, and they're not doing it. Michael, you messaged me this afternoon that the next expansion, House
of Wolves?
House of Wolves is not going to have a new raid, which means there are only going to be 2 actual large 7-man raids in that game. After 2 expansions, and I don't even think there was one in the original. No, did Vault of Glass come with the game? Vault of Glass didn't. Yeah.
No. When it released, Vault of Glass was not in the game. They did not release Vault of Glass until a couple weeks or a month later.
Okay, so they patched it in, and then with the second expansion, I can't remember what the name of that one was. They released a new one, and so it's like, okay, another raid or whatever. You brought up a very good comparison. And they are kind of the king of MMOs, but Blizzard, when they release content, they release a lot more, and they release it more frequently. If Blizzard had the game plan that Bungie does, where we're like, hey, we'll release one new raid every expansion that comes out several months, and we're only gonna have this, their player base would not be as big as it is today, I think. Because you'd be doing the same thing over. It'd be very, very repetitive, and your player base would get bored and move on to other things that would keep their interest.
I think the structure of WoW is also more complicated. So not only is there more content, it's more complicated to maximize your character for that content. There's not just a set path like there kind of is for Destiny, and like, they're just much better at pacing. Where I think Destiny, you get in and you've played pretty much all the strikes by the time you hit 20, and then you have to grind the exact same strikes and a couple newer ones because they're higher leveled to get to 30. And then when the expansion pack came out, they introduced like three strikes and a raid. So you added 3 strikes, and then you were just grinding those new 3 strikes, which is cool because they're new, and then the same old ones again. And it's just weird that, like, if I were to go back and play that game right now, I would be grinding content that I'd already grinded, like the same exact content that I'd already grinded to get better gear. It's just a little bit frustrating from a constant perspective of playing the game every single day.
That's like the whole pull of Destiny. I think that might be what they're hoping and riding on, is that, hey, we've got so much gear in here that is kind of hard to get. We're hoping that it'll be interesting enough or good enough that you'll just be willing to grind this content over and over and over and over again to get it. And at some point in an MMO, you are going to have to grind. Like, I can accept that. Like, okay. But the variation of different strikes or raids that Destiny needs to, I mean, at what point do you like, okay, I've run this so many times that I'm okay? And I think part of also, I haven't been playing Destiny as much as because I've just simply moved on to other games or whatever. And whether that's Destiny just saying, hey, our content is lacking or not, like, I think it is. But my interests I'm like, okay, I'm going to play another game now or whatever. And for me to get back into Destiny in a major way, they would have to drop a fair amount of content, and that's not happening right now. And I don't know if I see that happening anytime soon. You can't ride the gear that far. I don't think it's gonna work, and it's not gonna hold up Destiny. You also mentioned that like in WoW, raids and the mechanics of those raids are more complicated. That should just speak to how much easier it should be for Destiny to put out more content like that, because the mechanics of Destiny are much simpler than an MMO with all these different classes. Destiny's only got 3 classes. They are played differently, but they're not
extremely similar comparatively.
Yeah. It should not be.
You're all using the same weapon pool, which helps a lot.
Yeah,
simplifies it a lot.
Yeah. You've got different abilities, that's and some different stats, and that's really about it as far as the difference between the classes. But with those differences, it should not be that difficult to create new content. But maybe it just speaks to the team at Bungie, or maybe I
think
know.
Part of it is also, and this, I don't even want to say that. I was gonna say the art assets for Destiny are probably way more expensive, but like I don't want to downplay the artistic design in World of Warcraft or other MMOs, but I mean it is top-notch AAA art assets that are going into the Destiny raids. Though to be fair, they do reuse a lot of enemy designs, at least in the strikes. Like a lot of the strike bosses are just larger versions of regular enemies. So I mean they're reusing content. It's not all extremely brand new or anything.
So we'll see. Maybe House of Wolves will have some decent content. The thing that I saw about House of Wolves today was yesterday was basically like, here, let's talk about how you could upgrade your gear. It didn't say like, here, let's look at this new gear that we're adding into the game. It's like, no, let's upgrade your current one. It's like this is kind of boring. I don't want to upgrade my current gear necessarily. My interest is gone. You've lost my interest at this point, Destiny. Whether that's your fault or not, I just moved on.
Let's talk about the game that's on the edge of it's still on the pulse of America right now. We're both playing it. Since I think that's actually new. Since last time you did not have the game, you got it recently.
All right.
We are both playing the game from Software's Bloodbourne.
Yes.
So I've already talked about it a little bit. What are your thoughts on the initial area?
All right. Let me think here. Bloodbourne, for me, is one of those games that it's like I'll play for at least right now. I'll play for a little bit and then I'll move on to something else. I need to be in the right mood, or here's the thing. Like when I think about it, like when I stand outside of it, like I don't always want to play Bloodbourne. It's just I just know there's something I'd rather do. But when I get into Bloodbourne and I start exploring or doing things, I can find myself captivated and stay there for a little bit, exploring, fighting enemies, mastering new techniques maybe or moves. I think that as a game it is easier than when Dark Souls was when I first played that. I don't know how.
That's something I've not been able to judge after playing 3 Souls games.
Right.
Once you figure out some of the rules of Souls, some of them carry over. So like when I played Dark Souls 2, I wasn't sure, and with the exception of SNO, the hardest boss in Dark Souls, because I think that's the hardest thing that's been in the games that I've played, period. I think Dark Souls 2 is an easier game, but I don't know if that's just because Dark Souls 2 is actually easier, or if it's because I got really good at Dark Souls 1, right. So Dark Souls 2 used a lot of the same tactics and I could reuse them. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know how to judge that. I think it's impossible to kind of judge once you're into a Souls game so deep.
Right. I will say I think to some extent it is an easier game.
Most people do. Most people do say that.
Yeah. So, but I like the game. We were talking. I'll probably have to change my weapon. I thought it was really cool. So when I created my character, when I first created a character in Bloodborne, I was at your house, Michael, and this is before I bought the game. And I created an old dude who had a cane for a weapon, and I thought the concept was super cool. It's like, yeah, I'm just this old crotchety old man who's just running around and beating up monsters and stuff. And I did the same thing. But now, like we're talking, it's like Drewby, that cane, it's not very good. You need to get a different weapon. And so upgrading that, I met Rhino Pig, who I don't believe we have talked about on the show.
All right, so for those that don't kind of understand, this is a like Victorian era themed, not steampunk, but like the era that is almost steampunk. There are like blunderbusses and like pirate style guns and cannons, and it's largely like dark gothic werewolf. I'm surprised I haven't seen anything that resembles like a vampire. There's like these creepy crows. It's this very like specific theme that they're kind of going for. And there's this moment when you're exploring the sewers and there's all these creepy like crawly sewer monsters that are kind of gross and slinky, and you look down the hallway, and one of my favorite enemy designs in this game or games, recently right now, is peering at you through the end of this hallway. It's a long, dark tunnel, and this creature charges out from beneath the bridge that is kind of around that area, and it is a pig. It looks like a pig, kind of, but it is extremely large. What?
I would say it is a pig. I would say it is.
But it has very similar characteristics and body movements to that of a rhinoceros.
Yeah.
And I have dubbed it the Rhino Pig, and I frequently talk about basking in the Rhino Pig's glory, since he's basically my favorite enemy design that I've seen. This game has some great enemy designs, though. Like in the crows that I mentioned earlier are one of the most disgusting looking, like just vile beasts that I've seen for a while. Like, it's just mangy birds. They don't, for the most part, they like climb, like their wings are spread out behind them and just kind of flopped on the ground, and they like make gurgly noises and scoot around on their bellies, and they just scream and jump up and flap and like try to scratch you. Like, they're very gross, like oppressively gross.
Yeah, you've described them as like creepy.
Yeah. The werewolves are like, their flesh is rotting off, and they're like kind of gross and bloody, and like it's a very, very specific aesthetic they're going for, which I think helps Rhino Pig stand out, since he's more of a like dignified creature. Like, he doesn't look like he's rotting. He's just living on this bridge, protecting his domain from these naughty slime ball sewer creatures, protecting the only hole he has left. He has a hole. There's a giant hole behind him.
His last home, the last place he can go.
That's the last stand of the Rhino Pig, the last Rhino Pig, like the last samurai of Tom Cruise.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I kind of hope that that's the only one in the game too. Like, I hope that Rhino Pig stands alone in his location and dignity.
Oh, perhaps he is. Perhaps you'll never see him again.
Yeah. So this is a weird game. It's hard.
It is hard. I've beaten 2 bosses so far, and I got killed by a third one. And progressing through it. I don't think.
What did you get killed by? That was a third boss.
The Gatling gun, dude.
That is not a boss.
He's not a boss.
Even a named boss. No, he's not even a named character. Well, I mean, he has a name. If you pick up his item when he dies, he has a name, but that is not a boss character.
I thought that was the boss.
He's what I would call a mini boss. No.
So he's like would he call him like the Capra Demon from Dark Souls, like a mini boss, like in that regard?
Well, the Capra Demon is a boss.
Oh, okay.
Like, he has a giant health bar, and
does that count though? Because like when you progress further in the game, there are more of those dudes, and they're not bosses.
Well, but when you fight him the first time, he's so high level that he is a boss.
All right.
You just get so much better at beating them and like better stats that you're able to beat multiple of them at the same time.
Okay. All right.
But yeah. So the game is extremely hard. I think one of my favorite things that I'm kind of seeing about the game right now is its lack of linear paths. Right now, I have the opportunity to go 3 different directions on 3 opposite sides of the map, and I do not know which one is the correct direction. and they're all equally terrifying. I have died in or two of the three locations in some unexpected ways. And I was actually so scared going through an area last night that I screamed out loud, and my wife laughed at me. I was walking around in this town. I was starting to run low on blood vials, and like I had a ton of souls on me, or blood echoes, and I had no checkpoint in sight. And a werewolf, one of those werewolves I described earlier, busts out of a door and almost murdered me, but I was able to kill him. The thing about that game is there's a lot of ambushes set up, and there's a lot of people that are jerks that put you can put messages on the ground for other players to see. There's a lot of people that put ambush in places where there are no ambushes. So you start to question whether you should expect it or not, because a lot of people lie. And then there's also people that are putting ambush because they didn't realize there was an enemy there, but I noticed the enemy. So I'm all tensed up, ready for an ambush when I'd already killed the guy that they were talking about. So I don't know, like I'm always on edge. The thing about Bloodbourne is I think it's an amazing game, and I love exploring. I love all of the level designs. I love getting to the bosses. I love figuring all this stuff out, but I cannot play for too long a stretch at a time at this point. I get to a point, I make a like marked amount of progress in the game, and I say, okay, I think it's time for me to, now that I've made some progress that I could, accurately track, I think I'm going to go do something else. I'm going to watch a TV show. I'm going to play a board game with my wife, something like that, because I find that playing that game, I am extremely high stress the entire time just because of the nature of the enemies that I'm fighting and the areas that I'm fighting. I also get scared of video games very easily anyway, because whatever.
Some of your best moments. Some of your best moments are when you get scared in video games.
Yeah. So, yeah, man, I'm not good with scary games. So you are going down the Gatling gun path. I kind of want to talk about this as we keep going through the game. That's actually the same path that I'm going through right now. So we're kind of in the same area.
I
decided to go a different way.
I thought like maybe I'll just go back and go the other way or whatever. But I mean, I guess it's totally doable. I think the other areas.
I think the other area is easier.
Okay.
I don't know.
Maybe I'll just continue going this way. I'm right there. We'll play this game a little bit.
I know other people. Yeah, I know other people that have taken the path that you're taking first.
Okay.
We're listening to people that podcast that took that same route first. So it's not impossible. I mean, it's a Souls game. I think they intentionally leave multiple paths open at once sometimes. So
make it well, obviously, because you have three paths open to you right now.
Yeah, so we can compare notes. Yeah, one of the paths I took, and there was I don't know if I found a secret path or what, but like there was this rocky outcropping, and I got to like a beach that like led up to this castle, and there was a big dude with an axe, and I said, "Oh, I've killed one of these before," and then I walked up, and he promptly like used that axe to do various violent acts to my body that resulted in me dying, and I didn't go back there because I didn't feel like it. That's when I started going down the Gatling gun path, which is the one that you're on now. So yeah, we'll compare notes there.
All right.
Speaking of babies, there's another game that came out a couple weeks ago that we were able to play. Do you remember what that was? Mario Party 10.
I had blocked that out. I wasn't thinking about that game.
Garbage game for babies, Mario Party.
As quoted by Jeff Gertzman.
We took Drewby, who was a Mario Party fan. He loves Mario Party, and I was able to.
I don't know that I'd say I loved Mario Party.
He loved it. It was his favorite game, top 10 of all time.
I would not say that
of the top 10 of all time, and I was able to, basically show him the dark side of Mario Party, which is that it's a garbage game for babies where everything is random and it doesn't matter what you do.
It brought out the dark side of me. Like evil Drewby came out in force.
Drewby was yelling at the TV and like getting angry. He threw his hat and left the room at one point. Like I don't think he realized how bad the rubber band effects in Mario Party are until he played. He broke the number one Mario Party rule, which is he took it seriously. He took it way too seriously.
Oh It was so garbage. Like people, I was yelling out, like yelling at the TV, like screaming at this. Why? Oh, it was not a happy moment. Like Michael, my friendship was in danger a little bit. A little bit.
It was funny because I took Mario Party more serious than I ever had before. And I actually had fun because I do think that there is a little bit of skill involved. Like I was having a ton of fun, which is something I did not expect to have in a Mario Party game. Drewby was expecting to have fun and was actively becoming angry and more vile and contempt at this game. It was this weird, like, bizarro dimension.
It was
to reference superheroes.
It was, and we didn't even play the actual like real Mario Party, like traditional Mario Party.
No, I'm short of controllers, so we had three Wiimotes and a Wii U tablet. And so you play a mode where basically one character is the bad guy and everyone else tries to work together to get to the end of the level before the bad guy kills them. And so I played as the bad guy first, and this is the first time. Well, Drewby got angry basically anytime he wasn't the bad guy.
The bad guy was like the one moment, like one of the few moments in the evening when I was actually like joyous and just like, ha.
That's because he likes to joy in other people's pain. But like, when I was playing Bowser, it was just my natural habitat. Drewby just perceives me as this angry person that likes people to be sad and unhappy all the time. So when I was playing as Bowser, Drewby actually thought I was portraying my true self. I was enjoying beating up little kids. Like, not little kids. I was playing against my wife and my brother and Drewby. I was enjoying the kind of, the game is pretty biased in the form in the side of the bad guy. I was enjoying that. I was enjoying ruining their day, but I also had fun playing as the other people. So it was cool to tie five and team up and try to work together to conquer the giant Bowser that's chasing them through the entire level. So yeah, we haven't actually played some proper Mario Party. I got to get another controller, but that I thought that was fun. I was having a good time.
Maybe next time we'll have to record it, and then people can actually witness Drewby freak out. And
I don't think there's a way to record it for, like, we don't have an Elgato or anything that's good. It'd be hard.
Maybe we'll have to think about that, because that could be some good content. That could be some good content.
If you guys want to start a Kickstarter for us, you can buy us an Elgato.
An Elgato, and then we will do a Mario Party video for you.
In fact, if you guys want to buy us an Elgato, we'll do any video game you want us to. Like, we'll just start making videos of like all these games.
You want to watch a playthrough of
Devil May Cry 2, one of my least favorite games I've ever beaten.
Oh, what would be a terrible game for me to play through that I would have to hate? I would hate.
That you would hate?
Yeah.
Like most of the games I love.
I don't know if I'd hate most of the games. I like
999.
I don't know if I'd hate that.
I think you would get so mad at some points that it would blind the parts you liked. I think you would. I think there's a couple like puzzles that are just so frustrating. That would be so frustrating for you. Able to enjoy.
Let me look
the awesome sci-fi story that's happening.
What about what we have?
Danganronpa.
Ooh, a fighting game that might. What's a?
Yeah, but I don't like fighting games.
What about a Final Fantasy game? There you go. I bet you I would hate a Final Fantasy game.
You would probably be so bored during a Final Fantasy game. Like, I give games a lot of, or like Persona maybe. Like, you might get bored during Persona. Especially if you had to beat the entire thing because it's so long.
So any like really Japanese? No, that's not true. That's not true. Okay.
Name a Japanese game other than Metal Gear Solid that you
that's it. There you go. You just took it out.
And the only reason you like Metal Gear Solid is because it's just a shooter. That's the only reason. If it were the same exact story and it were a different game, I seriously think you'd hate it.
All right, so
it's just because it's a shooter.
This kind of leads into the other game that I've been playing. This is perfect transition. I've been playing Metal Gear Solid 4. Our sister site, giantbomb.com, is doing a video series called Metal Gear Scanlan, where Drew Scanlan is playing through the Metal Gear games for the first time as kind of like a newcomer to the series. He's played the first one. He's finished the second one. He's just finished the third one last week, I believe. and they're going to wait a couple months and then go into play Metal Gear Solid 4, I think, probably before Metal Gear Solid 5 comes out later this year. And I finished that, and I was kind of like, I kind of want to play it, or I want to see what's going to happen in the story or whatever. And so I went into GameStop and used my 20% coupon and bought Metal Gear Solid 4 for the PS3, and I've started playing that, and I kind of like it so far, which is weird for me. But
How is that weird for you? That is not weird for you at all. That game is just a stealth shooter.
I
It has
don't
a wacky story, but it is just a stealth shooter.
It does not control very well. I think the only reason I'm enjoying it is because of the hype from Metal Gear Scanlan. Because I like watching those videos. I like watching the story of Metal Gear progress and stuff like. I'm going to play this game. I'm going to beat it, and then I'm going to not have any idea what happened, and then I'm either going to have to play or read online to figure out what happened, and then watch Metal Gear Scanlan 4 when they play it, and Dan, who is playing it, who is watching Drew play it, and Dan is like a Metal Gear Solid fan. Like he knows kind of the lore and stuff behind it. He's going to explain it, and then I'm going to understand it. But like, it's the Metal Gear is not necessarily a game I like. I didn't like the Splinter Cell games. The early Splinter Cell games, they're kind of on the PlayStation 2 and GameCube. Like those aren't necessarily my type of games.
The fact that you like Metal Gear Solid is like, it is in no way surprising to me.
Okay.
No way.
It's
like, it's a really stupid story akin to like a bad superhero TV show in a stealth shooter.
All right.
Which is like, you will play basically any shooter that you can get your hands on, bad or not. Like, let's be honest here. It's like me and like something that reminds me of Twin Peaks. It doesn't matter what it is. I'll probably play it.
What is a shooter that is bad? What is it? Name a shooter I don't like. That's a challenge. I have to think.
Let's find a shooter Drewby doesn't like.
I'm looking at my Steam category. Let's see here. BioShock 2. I like BioShock Infinite. That's a great game. Borderlands. I didn't really like Borderlands. I didn't get into Borderlands. Do you count that? Bulletstorm. I played it. I liked that. One. I like all the Call of Duties. Counter-Strike. I didn't really get into Counter-Strike. I liked the Crysis games, all right. Far Cry 2 I didn't get into. I played a little bit of that.
Because that's an old game. That's an old bad game.
Half-Life 2 I played a little bit and stopped playing. I need to go back and play that.
Good shooter. You didn't like it.
I don't like good shooters.
No, you just like mediocre shooters. You don't like bad shooters, and you don't like good shooters, except for BioShock Infinite. You only like middle ground shooters.
Like,
it was all right, and Drewby's like, I beat it.
Like Battlefield 4.
Yes, exactly, like Battlefield 3 and 4. You're like, oh yeah, I beat those. I beat Crysis 3. What of it?
Rage. I played Rage. I liked that. I just stopped playing it.
I won't beat any of these games that are super great that I started, like Dark Souls, but I'll totally beat Battlefield 4.
I didn't beat
the only reason that's not a fair comparison is because Battlefield 4's campaign is 6 hours max.
I think I put 5 hours or something. I can boot up Origin and see.
Okay, so yeah, that's the only reason that's not a fair comparison.
Anyway, so yeah, I started playing through that. So that's probably the most Japanese game I'll have played in a little bit.
That's the most Japanese game you probably ever played. And ever will play, probably.
I played 10. I played a fair amount of 10. Final Fantasy 10. I mean, I played a fair amount.
Yeah, but you don't remember that.
I was little. I was young.
Yeah. Anyway, speaking of random things that are kind of like anime and wacky stories, I saw a movie called Furious 7 this week. Last week.
Things like anime, Fast and Furious movies. How was Furious 7, Michael?
It was good. But it was sad, and it was like this sad attempt to pretend that Paul Walker wasn't dead, but also to acknowledge the fact that Paul Walker was dead and be extremely kind to his memory. Like, at the end of the movie, Paul Walker's character retires to take home his family life, and they're so sad.
Yeah.
They're so sad that he's just gonna stay home, but like he's not dead in the story, but it's obvious that they're acknowledging the fact that he's dead in real life and he's not coming back. So that's a little weird and like super fourth wall breaking. But like even the movie itself, there's some good parts, but it's definitely not. It's probably like one of my least favorite Fast and Furious movies of all of them, I would say.
Okay.
There's some good action. I think Jason Statham is a perfect comic. This is another perfect example that Fast and Furious is really just a comic book movie. Like I think this kind of works along with like the Marvel style comic book action movie. Like Jason Statham's character is a villain who shows up at every single point in the film. It doesn't matter what is going on and whether it's even feasible that he got there. He shows up and he's there to ruin everybody's day. And he's like this perfect comic book villain.
That's his whole purpose is to ruin your day.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like the movie is like a double triple revenge plot or something. Like
double.
There's a character that got murdered in 3. Wait, there's a character that got murdered in 3 because the character from 5 was killed, but really wasn't killed because he's alive at the beginning of 7. And so the good guys are getting revenge on the bad guy for getting revenge for the guy that didn't actually die in 6.
Okay.
That's my review. Fast and Furious 7. The good guys are getting back at the bad guy for getting back at the good guys for killing the guy that didn't die in 6. That's how that's the Fast and Furious 7.
What's the name of the movie? Is it Furious 7?
Furious 7. I think it's called Furious 7, but the movie at the beginning says Fast and Furious 7.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, as someone that is a newly found you don't have to find the stupid picture. He's trying to look for a picture of Paul Walker's brother with Paul Walker's face CGI'd on him, which was a lot of Paul Walker scenes from this movie. It's just a little weird. I have a problem with CGI. The Uncanny Valley. I have a problem with the Uncanny Valley. I've mentioned on the podcast before that I have problems with. There's a scene in Captain America 2: Winter Soldier where there's a girl that's CGI and her face is just enough off that it freaks me out. Paul Walker wasn't freaky, but it was definitely like you could tell it wasn't real. There's a lot of there's one scene in particular where his audio is so bad and it was clear that they like spliced a bunch of different words from different sentences together. Yeah, I don't know. It was kind of sad. It's going to be sad for the series or whatever. But as somebody that is an avid fan of the Fast and Furious franchise, I'm in love with those movies. I'm glad I saw it. It's good.
Okay. All right.
So unless you got anything else you want to hit, I got to move along.
No, I think that's kind of about it for now. Yeah.
Cool. I just found out that my brother-in-laws are going to be in town for like a month coming up soon. That's super awesome. Well, they'll probably be on the podcasts again like last year.
I did buy a grill.
A real grill?
Yeah.
Or George Foreman?
A real grill.
Nice. Is it gas?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So I will be learning soon how to grill hamburgers and such. I need to get a piece of patio furniture so I can just like sit outside or something and grill.
You could stand too.
Standing is not really my thing.
Clearly, we're both fat. Anyway, if you want to find us outside of this show, you can find Drewby at twitter.com/Drewby132, DREWBY132, or you can find me at twitter.com/MichaelNipp, MICHAELKNIPP. I forgot how to spell my name for a second. You can also find me at facebook.com/TheRealMichaelNipp. As we mentioned before in the show, you can email us questions, comments, anything at theculturemypeople@gmail.com. You can follow anything that gets posted to that website at twitter.com/cultureofmypeep.
Brain freeze.
Put that blanked on for a second because nobody follows us on Twitter.
Someone does. Is it just you and me?
Yeah. The audio version of this podcast can be found on iTunes, or if you're an Android user, you can find it on Beyond Pod. That's our podcast app of choice. And yeah, that's basically it. It's a hashtag follow the conversation.
5 followers, bro. 5 followers.
Who are they? Name them. Name them off.
Uh,
We're gonna get you famous people.
All right. Oh, we have one Ashley Nicholson, one William Hall, one Brenton, one Andrew, and one Michael.
Sweet. So for hashtag follow the conversation, episode 32. This has been me, Michael Nip, and my co-host
Drewby.